All right, here's what I'm going to talk about. Basically, this question came across my table, but they talk about, should you teach your child to meditate? See, here's the thing, man. There's some people who become conscious, aware, and then they become more spiritual and whatnot, and they feel like they need to get their child to do spiritual shit. You know what I'm saying? That ain't any different than a fucking religion. You know what I'm saying? Than you forcing them to go to church and whatnot, and basically forcing them to pray. And half the time, they don't even really want to do that. You get what I'm saying? Now, one thing I could tell you is if you observe a child, okay? When you observe a child, they look like they're always meditating, especially an infant. If you look at an infant, now I know there's the consciousness and awareness of an adult, but they're already like meditating. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes when you try to snap them out of it, they end up crying. That they don't look like they're even paying attention to you. You know what I'm saying? And then when they get a little bit older, they get into their imagination, which means that it could be through like toys, it could be through drawings, it could be whatever. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes they'll get so submerged into it that, you're talking to them and you feel like they're not paying attention to you. The adult gets pissed off. And in reality, it's just that they're just in a meditative state. And it's disturbing to get popped out of it. Now, adults, for example, you see, because you're told how to meditate, you think that that's the only way to meditate, like being in a lotus position or disconnecting from everything, which is a source of meditation. Yeah, because when you are meditating, you're going into your own world. You see, kids are in their world already, which is why they say that from 1 to 7, they're already in their subconscious mind. They're recording, they're only receiving. But here's the thing, though. You see, when you try to talk to an adult, they try to get an understanding of what you're saying, like through logic, reasoning, left brain type of way of thinking. Like when you're talking to a child, okay, they're more feeling your vibes. And sometimes you don't even have to talk. They could just feel you. That's why the saying goes, hey, you feel me, bro? Yeah, I feel you, bro. I feel you. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all a feeling process, but we forget all that. And we just try to use our brain to try to make logic and reasoning when in actuality, it's all a feeling process. Sometimes when you talk to people, okay, they don't have to say much, but you feel them. You get what I'm saying? And this is the difference between somebody being impactful or somebody not being impactful. You know what I'm saying? And most of the time, when you force your child to meditate or do something they don't want to do, later on, they ain't even going to want to do it. You know what I'm saying? They're already doing what they need to do and they're doing it perfectly. I don't even talk about meditation to my child. I don't talk about none of that shit to him. In actuality, when he wants to talk about toys or, crazy shit, then you know what I'm saying? I'll just get into his world and, you know what I'm saying? I'm literally swimming and surfing in there to just basically observe how he's seeing the world through his eyes. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time, we yank him out of that. Why do adults come out of that state? It all starts when you go to school. You have to worry about, getting your homework done. You have to worry about, behaving in class and, focusing in class, paying attention. Sometimes, there's kids who can't focus or pay attention in class. And they classify that as an illness, like as a disorder. Like they say you have ADHD or autism and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And this is why when you're in your natural state, you'll either get yanked out of there, you'll get yanked out of there through a vaccine. Because here's the thing, a lot of parents who have gone through this can attest to this. But when you have a child, there's one parent I particularly talked to, and he was telling me that, we were talking about our kids. And I'm like, yeah, my kid got a lot of energy, you know what I'm saying? He's just, because my son was pretty hyper when he was around us and shit. And then the parent told me, he was like, yeah, my kid's a lot like that, man, but he had trouble in school, focusing, and the teacher was telling me that he wasn't paying attention. He was just, he wanted to do his own thing. He wasn't, and then here's the thing, though. He said, well, one of the things you should do is, go to the doctor. They give him a shot, and now he's like a super student. He pays attention, and he's laser focused now. He's doing better in school. You get what I'm saying? So it's basically kind of like, instead of, how we talk about scientists say we have junk DNA, it ain't even junk DNA. It's just basically dormant DNA, but it's more hijacked DNA. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you hijacked and inserted the system. It's an infection. You know what I'm saying? An infection. That's the real infection, is when you get these vaccines. And they give you a bookload of vaccines from the age of 1 to 7. Why? To slowly but surely get the child indoctrinated into the system from the inside out. And then along with school and parents being assholes, fucking yelling at their kids and, you know what I'm saying, trying to be too crazy with structure or even indoctrinating them into what they think is the right way to be as far as spirituality or conscious and awareness, then now the child slowly but surely starts to resonate and merge with the system that he was infected with. You ever hear perfect? A child is perfect. An individual, they are a person. Individually, they are perfect. And then they get infected with a vaccine. The virus is not coming from, let's say you go outside and you're dirty. No, that's actually, you're connecting with an organic, biological way that the child is supposed to be interacting with the system with. Because it's all RNA, DNA. This is all stuff that you want to look at a virus and say, viruses are not alive, viruses this. Okay, so if a virus is not alive, okay, then there's nothing to indoctrinate. It's just information that's coming into your system that your body gets an understanding of how to process. That's why when you're sick, you don't eat and you just sleep. You let the body process certain things. You get what I'm saying? So here's the thing. When you're an adult, you get hypnotized and you actually go into a hypnosis and you go into a meditation every time you watch TV. Because when you're watching TV, you see, you can go into a guided meditation and then go into a meditation like that. Because sometimes people have a hard time focusing, so they'll have to listen to a guided meditation. They'll listen to a guided meditation and they're easily going into a meditation, but that happens when you're watching TV. You get what I'm saying? And when you're watching TV, you're getting programmed that way. It's a subconscious, it's like a mental programming. You know what I'm saying? So here's the thing though. A child, for example, they're observing their environment, which is why it's important as a parent to make sure that you're emitting a positive and an empowering frequency. Because this is why, like, if you see kids who are born into a poor family, the kid stays poor the whole life. Because it's a programming and it's a vibe that the child is resonating with since he's born and he's recording it. If the child is rich, he can lose all his money, but he'll somehow get all that money back because it's in him already to know how to have that as part of his reality always. It's a program that's already instilled in him. And it does not, he may not necessarily even have been taught verbally. It's just a vibe that he picks up because kids are feeling the environment. Okay? They're living. See, here's the thing. A lot of times, a lot of parents are conscious and they become more spiritual and they become very depressed because I went through that. You know what I'm saying? Where you start to become a Satan to these lights out here. You know what I'm saying? You come out and now you start to look at this reality and say the fucking Matrix, is designed, we're used as batteries and all this victim mentality. But in actuality, if you know you're creating your reality, then the Matrix is in your head. Then you're creating your own Matrix. What are you demonizing out here? You're really demonizing yourself. And energy, if you become conscious and aware, the energies are conscious and aware of you because it's all you anyway. And if you look at something a certain way and attack it a certain way or go about it a certain way, it's going to come about it a certain way back to you. That's why they say be the change you want to see. So if you want to see positive change, you be the change you want to see. You're the architect. You start to talk about who's the architect of the movie. Everything's always external. It's like you're trying to fix something outside of yourself when in actuality it's all coming from within you anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're just basically attracting more of what you don't want to see by going into conspiracy theories. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's all molding your reality because you don't know who and what you are. This is why shadow work's important and knowing who and what you are first. So you're able to, it's all about integration. You know what I'm saying? Everything that's outside of you, if it's not salvageable, that's why you're supposed to kill shit. You're supposed to know how to die. You dead shit. Like if I'm in a relationship, I say, I just deaded that relationship. I deaded that relationship with that girl. Because deading is not, like you don't look at death the way religious folks look at death. It's not just all like the way you're taught in religion. It's basically you just disconnecting from shit. Or killing it, that's transformation. And if it's not transmutable, like if you can't transmute the energy, you transform it. But you can't, you see, energy, it can't be killed. You have to either transmute it or transfer it. You have to transform it to some extent. But it's not the way you look at it as just killing it completely where it's non-existent. You know what I'm saying? It's like you just disconnect from it and dead it. Like you get away from it. You know what I'm saying? You're aware and you're conscious of the fact that you don't want to be in that reality. So you sit down with yourself and ask yourself, is it in my heart's desire, my reality, the people, places, and things that I am in now? But there's a fine line between coming here and sitting here and saying, this is not what I'm happy about, and then regretting what you did in the past. It's all about acknowledging what is going on now, where you came from and why you're here now, but then be in appreciation for what you have to be able to propel you forward, to be able to be, because the appreciation comes from you being conscious and aware. That's the beauty part about it. Not just sitting there and saying, oh shit, this happened to me. It's like it happened to you because you did it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? So now, I know I went in different places, but I let the energy just flow however it's supposed to go. But the more aware and conscious, the more spiritual you are, the happier you should be. the more you in control of your life you should be. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, look at this. If you're influenced outside of you, notice how when you hang out with bad people, you get influenced in a negative way, and then you end up doing negative shit because you're following a crowd. You get what I'm saying? But that's the influence. Now, when you do shit from your heart space, like your organic, your self space, then now you're basically doing it in a spiritual space. You say how the mind is all, the universe is mental, right? So if it's all created in your mind, you know what I'm saying? You have to take control of your mind. But it's either, if you're not in control of your mind, you're being influenced by things outside of you. You know what I'm saying? And the inspiration comes from you first, and then that's where you start to create your reality in a way where you want it to look a certain way. You're becoming attractive to something that you want, but because you're aligning yourself with that, it requires the action. You have to take the action and do something that's going to align you to what it is that you want to receive in your reality. You know what I'm saying? And these are things that take a little bit of time because it's like an exercise that you have to go in a mental exercise and focus. You know what I'm saying? But there's going to be things that are going to like, they're going to try to detour you, such as problems in your family, or, you know what I'm saying? Like just certain stresses of mundane life. You get what I'm saying? But the thing here to really pay attention to is, if that's the case, you know what I'm saying? Then there's certain things you may need to disconnect from. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't, you change yourself and everything outside of you changes. You know what I'm saying? But there's certain things that just, they're not working anymore. They ran its course. And some people force the situation to stay in things that are not working for you. And then when that happens, then now you're just going into states where you're going to now get lost more into this physicality because you're being an emotional being. And knowing how to die is not getting into your emotions, is basically using your emotions more. Like, let's say, for example, you're in a relationship, the sex kind of went down the drain because you guys aren't in harmony or in balance with each other. You guys, you know what I'm saying? You just don't see each other like that no more. Now you start going into, because the body's always going to have needs, and you sometimes fall into your desires. Now you start to have a porn addiction. You know what I'm saying? You become an emotional eater. You know what I'm saying? You start to eat just to suppress yourself. You start to drink. You get into drinking habits now to numb your pains. You know what I'm saying? You get into getting high. You see, these things are supposed to be tools for you in a spiritual way, but instead they're taking over you. That's why they call them spirits when you get into an alcohol addiction. But these things take over you because you let these spirits take over, because you used it to numb the pains rather than using it to create your, because the emotions create your reality. But when you suppress shit, it starts to go into the shadow. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to come out and attack you more later. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, going back to just basically talking about, you know, children and whatnot, they feel all this. And then they grow up and they'll say, yo, you're a lot like your dad. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, that little girl's a lot like her mom. But it's not, you didn't necessarily tell her how to be like you. They picked up those vibes, and that's what molded them. The whole thing is that you could be depressed and all fucked up, but they may not be picking up those vibes right away because they're vibrating higher than you are, because they're happy to just be alive. You know what I'm saying? Which is what spiritual people should be, is happy to be alive. You know what I'm saying? But you got to understand how to die for you to live life to the fullest, and understand how to be the happiest, you know what I mean? Live life with the most utmost best experiences that you can have. You have to know what death is. You have to know how to transform and transmute these things. You know what I'm saying? So kids, for example, they're happy to be alive. Look, it's really hard for me to put my child to bed. My child don't want to go to bed, but I know he's functioning very healthily, because you see, this is what happens with my child. Getting him to go to bed is hard, but the moment he's in bed and I shut the lights off, in 5 minutes he's knocked the fuck out. So I know his elixirs are all working properly to put him out. You know what I'm saying? Based on like the light went off and boop, and now I'll make another video on that, because there's parents who buy melatonin for their kids just because they see their kid. They always want to. I'm telling you, parents are very fucking stupid, man. Very stupid. They giving their kids things that are altering their natural chemistry, putting them in completely different, you know, states, getting them off their natural state. You hear what I'm saying? And then they grow up to be stupid fucking people, man. You know what I'm saying? Where the fuck was I going with that? Oh yeah, so my child, so they're happy to be alive. Imagine, okay? So as an adult, you have to be not childish, but childlike. Look at life through the eyes of a child. How children would see life. They're happy to be alive. But you're conscious and awareness. Now you're able to take the wheel and know how to use all that to create your reality. Because the higher you vibrate, the more positive shit you attract to you. You know what I'm saying? And notice how when you're fearful of something or when you're vibrating low, you'll attract the very thing. Because it's like if you're in the middle pillar and you're neutral, you're natural, that's one thing. But if you're in a fearful state, you'll attract the low frequency that you are fearing the most. But when you're in a high vibrational state, okay, there's always going to be obstacles, but this is where the mental strength, the focus, the unbreakable, you know what I'm saying, mind that you can't get infiltrated or influenced because you're already inspired from within you. You see? Because if you're doing it from an inspiration, then that's the spiritual way to do it. That's the spiral. You can spiral up or you can spiral down. You know what I'm saying? But you got to be in the middle, the neutral point, to have an understanding of both ends. Okay? You can't know what true happiness is unless you understand what the real fucking low bottom is. And you can't understand the low bottoms if you don't know the fucking high tops. And this is the thing. You're nothing. The spirit is basically nothing, right? You feel with the body. That's the beauty part about this existence, is that you get to feel what a piece of chocolate tastes like. You get to feel what an orgasm feels like. But you don't get lost into that and make it addictions. Because anything that's not natural, it becomes addictive. But it is up to you to know if you got lost into that addiction. Because here's the thing though. If I eat a piece of chocolate, all right, I'm going to enjoy that chocolate as a treat, but you don't get addicted and keep eating the chocolate. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't understand love. They get addicted to love. Love wants to, people, you know, the ego holds on to things. So they get in a relationship and they break up. They can't be by themselves. They have to jump into another relationship. You get what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, the reason why I'm even mentioning all this is that the kids pick all this up. You know what I'm saying? Kids may not even be afraid of bugs naturally. But the fact that a parent may have a phobia of spiders, the kid and nothing happened to them. The spider never did anything to the kid. But out of nowhere, the kid developed a phobia for spiders. Why is that? That's because it came from the parent. It's something that they picked up from the parent. You know what I'm saying? It's a vibe they picked up. They became in frequency with. All right? And sometimes, you know, if a child gets pissed off, you know what I'm saying? You're having a problem with them. You're trying to correct them. All the energies, they all get stuck in the corners of your wall. All the emotions, all your thought forms, all the negative shit you've gone through, it gets stuck in the walls. You know what I'm saying? And they're there. And they're just ready to become a host. They're looking for a host, rather. And the moment that your child goes into a certain vibration because they were put there by external means, then that's where the ghost takes over. That's where the negativity takes over that host. You know what I'm saying? And it'll just stay there until it's ready to express itself somehow. You know what I'm saying? This is why when you live in square houses. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is that energy gets stuck in the corners of your house. That's why you got to sage and smudge your house from time to time. You take a shower and wash your eyes. From time to time, clean your house. You know what I'm saying? You never know when you have little arguments in your house and whatnot. You know, all that negativity gets stuck in the corners. So clean and smudge your house. Put some salt in the corners of your house. You know what I'm saying? And then things like that won't affect your space. Because it's a place of it's not your home, but it's where you're residing at. You know what I'm saying? Your home is here. So how do you clean your space? That's the point of meditation. You clean your space with intent, of course. What is the intent behind you going into a meditation? Is to clean your house. All right? What's the point of you fasting? The same thing, to clean your house. When you meditate, that's a fast from the external world. So you disconnect, right? You disconnect your mouth from food to get you to clean your system out. And then you could think clearer. Your body can process things easier when you have an empty stomach. All right? Or give it that reset button. And it's all microbial. I'm going to tell you right now. Bacteria. Get an understanding of your body on a microbial and on a bacterial level. And when you hear things that are antibacterial or antifungal, antiviral, you know what I'm saying? That shit goes deep when it comes down to how your body operates and how it's all hardwired spiritually as well. Because everything you're perceiving is all coming from your gut. So if you're perceiving reality a certain way, you're eating shit and you ain't processing it, or you're holding a belief, which is basically the same shit as you not being able to take a shit. You gotta let shit go. Because a lot of times people hold on to theories and philosophies and all that. And where you going, none of that shit really fucking matters. None of that shit matters. And sometimes when people think they know more, they know too much, all right, they become closed-minded. And when you close yourself off, you close yourself off to more to more shit. Sometimes realizing that you really don't know anything, and there's many different ways to look at shit, you'd be surprised how much more shit just basically comes up. But do you get overwhelmed with these things that you're receiving? That's the whole thing. So if you're able to utilize things to your advantage, then you're in an advantage. And there's a difference between knowing something or figuring something out. You figure it out. You made a figure out of it. You know what I'm saying? But then there's a real deep knowing based on an experience because of an experiment or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And then you're able to use wisdom, and you're speaking, you're using the language to whatever is in your mind. You're putting it into words here. And some people will try to figure out what you're saying, or they'll feel what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? But it just depends how you're doing it individually. And this is the things, kids are picking this up. That's why they'll say, oh, you're a lot like your dad. You know what I'm saying? Of course, because they're in your space, they're in your surroundings, and all those vibes are in a square home. See, look at nature. Nature is basically all different shapes. It's free-flowing energy. You know what I'm saying? And then you got, pyramids, you harness energy. And then you got circles circulate. Look at when you go to a stadium. You don't notice how a stadium is circular? And then you go watch your favorite team and people putting all their energy and clapping and screaming for their team. All that energy is circulating in that stadium, and they're in the middle of that bubble. Where's that energy going? You hear what I'm saying? When you have an orgasm, where's that energy going? When you have any emotions in your life, where's that energy going? You know what I'm saying? And if it's in your house, it's getting stuck in the corners of your house. When you're outside, it is out there for anybody to become a frequency match to that, and they get attracted to that negative thought pattern, which is why your thoughts affect everybody else as well. If you're a negative person, it'll affect everybody else as well. And negative drama is attractive. So people become attracted to you, but you'll only attract low vibrational people. When you attract high vibrational people, okay, it is because you're vibrating higher. And then you'll start to see the change, because it's the change you want to see is how you're being. You become that. And then everything around you starts to change like magic. Yo, man, I run all over the place, but I mean, it's all good. Like I said, I let it flow. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I let it flow. So like, share, and subscribe. We'll talk soon.